Last winter, I got the worst cold I'd had in years. 3 days in, I made my favorite comfort food, my grandmother's tomato soup, the one with basil and a touch of cream. I'd been craving it all day. I took that first spoonful and nothing. It tasted like warm, slightly salty water. I added more salt, still nothing. I tried the crusty bread I'd toasted. Cardboard. The orange juice I poured? Vaguely sweet liquid. That's when it hit me. I wasn't tasting anything. Not really. If you've ever had a stuffy nose, you know this feeling. Your favorite pizza becomes bland dough. Chocolate loses its richness. Coffee is just bitter hot water. It's like someone turned down the volume on your entire world of flavor. But here's what's strange. Your tongue still works perfectly fine. Your taste buds are completely functional. So what's actually happening? The answer lives in something most of us get wrong about taste itself. When you bite into a strawberry, you think you're tasting it, but you're not. Not entirely. You're smelling it. About 80% of what we call taste is actually smell. Your tongue can only detect 5 basic tastes: sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. That savory, meaty quality. That's it. 5 notes in the entire symphony of flavor. Everything else, that's your nose doing the work. Think about it. The difference between a strawberry and a raspberry? Your tongue can't tell. They're both sweet with a touch of sour. The difference is entirely in the aroma, those hundreds of aromatic compounds floating up from your mouth, through the back of your throat, and into your nasal cavity where millions of smell receptors decode them. This is called retronasal olfaction. Smell from inside your mouth rather than through your nostrils, and it's happening every single time you eat, completely without you noticing. When you have a stuffy nose, this entire system shuts down. Your nasal passages are swollen and blocked with mucus. Those aromatic compounds have nowhere to go. Your smell receptors are cut off from the food you're eating. And suddenly, that complex, rich, multi-layered experience of taste collapses down to just those 5 basic sensations your tongue can detect. But there's something deeper happening here. Something about how your brain builds your reality. Your brain is constantly taking incomplete information and constructing a complete experience. When you eat, your brain combines taste from your tongue, smell from your nose, texture from your mouth, temperature, even sound, the crunch of a chip, the sizzle of a steak, into one seamless sensation it calls flavor. It's like your brain is a mixer board, and each sense is a separate channel. When one channel goes silent, the whole mix sounds different. I noticed this one morning during that same cold. I was eating toast with honey, and I realized I could still detect the sweetness. My tongue was working. I could feel the crunch, the temperature, the sticky texture of the honey, but it felt hollow. Incomplete, like watching a movie with the color turned off. What I was experiencing was the difference between sensation and perception. My tongue was sensing just fine, but my brain couldn't perceive flavor the way it normally does. This is why eating when you're sick feels so unsatisfying. Your brain expects a full experience. It's learned that food should be rich, complex, interesting. When it only gets basic information, sweet, salty, the texture, it's like expecting a conversation and getting only yes or no answers. There's something almost philosophical about this experience, something it reveals about how we experience the world. We walk around assuming our senses give us direct access to reality. The strawberry tastes like a strawberry because that's what strawberries taste like. Simple. But a stuffy nose pulls back the curtain. It shows you that your experience of that strawberry is constructed. It's your brain interpreting signals, combining them, creating something that feels real and immediate, but is actually the result of complex processing you never even notice. And here's what gets me. When you recover, when your nose clears up and you take that first bite of real food again, it feels like magic, like the world suddenly switched back on. I remember the first meal I could really taste after that cold. Just scrambled eggs and coffee. But the butter in those eggs, the slight char on the edges, the bitterness and richness of the coffee, it was almost overwhelming. I'd eaten eggs hundreds of times, but these felt special, new. We take our senses for granted until we lose them. Then we realize how much richness they add, how much they matter, how much of our joy comes from these tiny, constant sensations we barely notice. This connection between smell and taste also explains something else, why smell is so tied to memory and emotion. Your olfactory system, your sense of smell, is directly wired to the limbic system in your brain, the part that processes emotion and memory. Taste travels a different route. This is why a smell can instantly transport you back to childhood, to your grandmother's kitchen, to a specific summer afternoon with an emotional intensity that's almost startling. But taste alone? It doesn't do that. You need the smell. This is why people who lose their sense of smell, whether from illness, injury, or aging, often report feeling disconnected from their memories. Food stops being comforting. Meals lose their emotional significance. It's not just about flavor, it's about losing a direct line to the past. When you have a stuffy nose, you're getting a temporary glimpse of this. Food becomes functional rather than pleasurable. You eat because you need to, not because you want to. And if it goes on for more than a few days, you start to realize how much of your daily joy was tied up in something as simple as tasting your morning coffee or enjoying your lunch. There's research suggesting that people who lose their sense of smell long-term experience higher rates of depression and anxiety. Food is social, it's cultural, it's one of our most reliable sources of daily pleasure. When that's diminished, it matters more than we might expect. So what can you actually do when you're sick and nothing tastes right? First, understand that your basic taste sensations still work. You can amp those up. Things that are intensely sweet, salty, sour, or spicy will still register. This is why some people crave potato chips or sour candy when they're sick. Those tastes can still break through. Texture becomes more important too. When you can't rely on flavor, your brain pays more attention to crunch, creaminess, temperature. Cold, smooth ice cream might be more satisfying than a complex meal because at least your brain is getting interesting input from somewhere. Some people find that spicy foods help because capsaicin, the compound that makes peppers hot, doesn't actually work through taste or smell. It triggers pain receptors. It's a sensation, not a flavor. Your stuffy nose can't block that. But honestly, mostly, you just have to wait. Your sense of smell will come back, usually within a few days of your congestion clearing up. And when it does, that first real meal will remind you of something important. We spend so much time chasing big experiences, trips, achievements, major life events, but so much of our actual daily happiness comes from tiny things. The smell of coffee brewing, the taste of ripe fruit, the warmth of soup on a cold day. You don't appreciate them until they're gone. A stuffy nose is a strange gift in that way. It's temporary, it's harmless, but it shows you something real about how you experience the world. Your senses aren't just recording reality, they're creating it, building it, making it rich and meaningful. And when you recover, when you take that first bite of food that actually tastes like something again, you get a rare moment of gratitude for something you'd never thought to be grateful for. The ability to taste a strawberry, to really taste it. That's not nothing. That's everything.